What is the bravest thing that you've done about your mental health as a young person?
As a young person, the bravest thing I've done for my mental health is stand up. I'll be honest, because people think that I'm doing something for the audience when I'm a comedian. I wish everybody in the world, I wish you could experience, I wish I could put you on stage next to me. So you could experience what it feels like to have 9,000 people send a laugh your way. There is no drug, there is no meditation, there is no religion, there is nothing in the world that feels as good as that one laugh passing through your body. It's positivity, right? But for that, you have to have a deep vulnerability to have a connection with the audience. So I've had the privilege of being able to be really honest about my feelings. And then, I remember my grandfather was as close to me as my father. And the day he passed, I went and did a show in Bengaluru the next afternoon.
Yeah.
I made fun of him on stage. And then I got laughs. And I think the laughs that came that day was probably worth more than 4 years of therapy. So I think stand-up has been, the audience does more for the comedian than the comedian will ever do more for the audience. That's the truth.
Beautiful. So let me start by asking, Veer, when you look back at an 18-year-old Veer Das right now in retrospect.
Oh God. Hi.
What are you seeing?
Tere naam hai. Oversized clothing, not much has changed. I was that annoying guy, जिसको 2 गाने बजाने आते हैं, but he showed up with the guitar and never attended college. Like just low attendance, very low attendance. So yeah, that's what I think of.
I've also obviously read a lot about a lot of the interviews that you have given. And the common theme across everything is being a misfit.
Yeah.
I have a lot of comedian friends as well. A lot of them also have similar experiences of not really knowing their place in the world and then choosing comedy as possibly the place where they try to find in themselves. When did you first start feeling that you don't fit in?
I mean, it's my whole life. Like, okay, here's basically my life story, right?
Yeah.
I was born to a IAS family in Dehradun. When I was 3 months old, I was taken from Dehradun to Africa, all right, where I grew up as an Indian kid in Africa. Then when I was 8.5, 9 years old, I was sent to boarding school in Simla, where I was the African kid in Indian boarding school.
Wow.
Right? Then when I was 13 years old, I was asked to leave that boarding school and I got sent to DPS. All right? Noida. In UP, right? Where I was the kid from the fancy boarding school in DPS Noida, right? I went from DPS Noida to South Campus, New Delhi, in Dholakua, where I was the kid from this random college. I went from South Campus, New Delhi to Galesburg, Illinois, which is, Cornfield College, Cornfield, where I was the kid from India in a drama program. The first Indian student they'd ever had in a drama program. I went from there to Montgomery, Alabama, where there is one other brown person. We saw each other like pandas, we found each other, like ran and hugged, and I found out he was Mexican when I hugged him, right? And then I came back to Mumbai to be a VJ and eventually an actor, where I was the guy from American Drama School, right? And then when Mumbai started to go well, etc., I went to the US and to Los Angeles and New York and Hollywood, where I was the guy from India. So my whole life, this is the world, and I'm a comedian who got into movies, to movie people, to comedians, I'm a movie actor who does comedy, to rock musicians, I'm the comedian and actor who plays all the music festivals. So none of it is fitting in. That's literally my whole life is the outsider perspective.
Wow. So interestingly, very, in my case, it was very similar in terms of the fact that I was first, I was in Lucknow first, then I was in Delhi, then I went to Dubai, then I was in Bahrain, then I went to Kurukshetra, to study engineering. Then I came to Bombay. And I could also never really find who I am, what I am, etc., etc. Movies and writing were actually the safe place for me. And again, it took me some time to get there, a lot of it by accident. But I want to know, how did you find that there could be a safe space for someone like this, and that for you became comedy?
I got this aid package to go to Knox to study economics, right? And then the nice thing about a liberal arts campus is they make you take external courses. They're like, "Acha, tum economics kar rahe ho, but you take one jazz history or one philosophy, etc., etc." So I took beginning acting as just on a lark because मैंने किया यार थोड़ा drama school में, etc., etc. And there's a professor called Ivan Davidson who called me to his office and he's like, "Listen, I say this to one kid every 10 years. You're meant to do this.
Wow.
So now you shut up and you take every course I tell you to take." So then I started to do a double degree of theatre and economics. I don't know if anybody's ever done any drama workshops, but it's very like you sit in a circle and cry all day, and then you emote with your shoulders, and you do all. And I did something like 16 plays in 3 years, and I was very tired, and I ended up writing a stand-up comedy piece as my thesis performance at the end of drama school. And it was called Brown Men Can't Hump, right? And it's terrible, but suddenly when I found that, it felt like this rebellion against everything. It's still theatre, it's still stage, but it's free. I'm not limited by somebody else's lines. I get to really be myself. If it needs to be angrier, I can make it angrier. If it needs to be sadder, I can make it sadder, etc. So suddenly when I found that, I was like, oh, this is what I've been searching for kind of my whole life. Like forgive me if this sounds arrogant, but it's the truth. Since I was 5 years old, if you put me under hot lights, if you put me under a stage, I'm home. I'm free.
How are you surviving until you found comedy as your escape? I've also read somewhere that you used to get beaten up because of like smart lines you would end up saying to people.
Yeah. So I went to a school which had corporal punishment. So Sanar is like a ex-British military academy, right? And so now they no longer do that. But back when I went to school, you were allowed to hit a kid with a hockey stick and lots of like murga and corporal, drills and all of that stuff. And I was the kid who wouldn't shut up during the beating. So he hit me with a hockey stick and I'm like, "Bada acha lag raha hai aapko? Are you tired?" And even the guy would be like, "Yeah, chup ho ja so I can stop beating you." I really don't know how I survived. All I know is I had 2-3 losers with me at all times. Like there's nothing like having
I love that.
a group of fellow losers who either we all failed together, right? Or we all got beaten up together. Or we all had a crush on the same girl and she rejected all of us. There's great bonding to be found in rejection and failure. So yeah.
Did you all try to do things to fit in? Because there's also all that pressure when you are a misfit. Before you accept that it's okay to be a misfit, you first are trying to fit in.
No, I don't think there was any hope, yeah. Like sometimes I meet people who went to Sanar, which is this boarding school I was in for 4 years, right? They have no clue I was there. Because I'd made no impression. I was bullied a lot, so I just kind of lived in my own head. And I was like, draw as little attention to yourself as possible. So yeah, there was no in. There's no fitting in.
Not something that too many people speak of, like bullying in particular.
Yeah.
I think most of us in some way have been bullied because this society finds a way of finding something about you, especially when you're a child, to keep you conformed. That if I bully this person, if I tell this person that you have to be like this, you have to be this way, etc., etc., you will conform. What were you getting bullied for, if I may ask?
Being the kid from Africa, often. I think not bullying now, but it's till date noticed that the way I speak English is a little posher than the average Indian English accent, for instance. and that's just by virtue of where I've grown up, etc. And we equate posher English with privilege, right? Sometimes falsely so, by the way. I've friends who I went to college with who have British accents, proper British accents, but their parents own a post office.
Yeah.
Or their parents own a convenience store in London. In terms of bullying, it's very cheesy, but hurt people, yeah. It really rings true. And a lot of like Purana boarding schools have a legacy of, we will break you down and build you in the image of a Dosco or a Mayoite or a Dipsite or whatever. And I think that graduates two types of people. Do you have uncles who are 60 years old but still talking about shit they did when they were 10 years old? You know what I mean? Those types of people, and sometimes complete misfits. The more institutionalized the discipline is.
Yeah, I hear you. You said Mio, and it's so interesting. So when I was in 10th standard, 8th, 9th standard, I used to write for the local newspaper magazine in Bahrain where I grew up. And I used to write my opinions even as a 14, 15-year-old, and that is obviously not allowed among other 14, 15 years old. So I would get bullied a lot at that time. I decided to leave Bahrain and got admission in Mayo College, Ajmer. And I remember my parents and I going to the principal. This is on the day they're dropping me off, okay? And then for the next 2 hours, literally, he just sat and told my parents about... So he's obviously going to get bullied a lot, he is overweight, so people are going to hit him, beat him, they will take his clothes sometimes, they will steal his shoes. He won't get to call you, more than once in a week because we don't allow at I can promise you at the end of 2 years, he's going to be somebody you do not recognize. My parents are hearing this and saying, am I sending him to jail? And my mom got so freaked out. She's like, can we take him back?
She took you back?
She took me
well
back.
done, auntie.
She literally had a fit with my father saying like, I am going to leave you if you leave my son over here with these people. I said, I love you, mom.
Nighttime is a great equalizer is what I've learned. So my parents were in Africa when I was near Kasauli when I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
I tried to run away thrice, thinking I'll run from Kasauli to Africa. I got as far as Dharampur, right, before I was brought back. But, 9, boys are homesick here.
Yeah.
And boys are not allowed to cry in front of other boys.
Yeah.
Right? So, agar aap dormitory dekho boarding school ka, it's 40 beds in a row. Right? So, aapke aur aapke uske beech mein there's maybe 4 feet, right, of space. But when it was night and the lights would be off, then you would hear boys crying in their bed. And at that time, you'd know even the guy who's bullying me 10 beds down, even he's little homesick.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe and share.